is full of potential young sports stars, but they desperately need nurturing from an early age if they are to succeed in any way. The Eastern Cape government is said to have reduced its budget for school sports by over 70% in the past 3 years. That means there's barely any money to invest in the futures of these promising youths. Well, to explain to us what is the reason really behind this, I'm joined now by Busisie Jemsana-Mantashe. She's the spokesperson for the Eastern Cape Sports, Recreation, Arts and Culture Department. And as I said the name of the department, I thought maybe I might have got it wrong, Ms. Mantashe. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday View. So you are with the Sports, Recreation, Arts and Culture Department. And instead of investing in the young people's potential in sports, you are taking the money away. Why?
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Dan. And no, the opportunity to nurture young talent has not been abandoned. And in fact, we continue to make sure that school sport is vibrant in the province of the Eastern Cape. The money that you are referring to is the money that we get from the provincial treasury, and a decision was taken by cabinet to take some of that money and reprioritize it to help with the Department of Health with fighting COVID-19. And the papers spoke of from 1.1 billion to about 300 million. But also then we do receive conditional grant from the national department, which is about 25 million rands. So we still have that money. We are able to continue to make sure that school sport is active, and we continue to make sure that we develop children in the Eastern Cape across the province. But remember also then that school sport for some time has not been active. It was suspended because of the COVID-19 regulations. Last year, we did not have winter games. This year, we do not have winter games also. It is not only now that the levels have been adjusted to say school sport can continue, and we still do have the funds to make sure that we support school sport across the province.
Let's just talk about those funds. You mentioned a figure of 1 billion rand, and now you've got 300 million. That's a reduction, like you got 30% of what you used to get, and that was a decision to reprioritize due to the COVID-19 thing. So is this a once-off?
Yes, this is a once-off. What happens is, and it's 1 million, not 1 billion. That was a mistake on my part. What happens is, cabinet looks at budgets quarterly to see what are the areas of need, what can be done, where is money needed most. Come November, we'll also be looking at areas of do we still need to put more money? Do we need to prioritize the money that has been put into school sport? But it does not take away from the fact that we still have funds to support school sport and school sport when things are open and schools are saying they are going to allow for learners to play. We will continue as the department on our main mandate to make sure that we support school sport.
Okay, 1 million, sorry. Okay, I had 1 billion. Thanks for correcting that. It's 1 million slashed to 300 and something thousand. That was for the past year. How much currently have you got in the kitty? And then I want to move away from money because I want to ask you some other questions around the importance of sports in young people's lives. How much do you have currently in the kitty to continue supporting school sports in the Eastern Cape?
We have been allocated about 25 million rand by the National Department for school sport. We still have the 300,000 rand that we got from the budget cuts. That is still for school sport. So we still have funds to continue with supporting school sport in terms of buying school equipment, sporting equipment, training coaches, training teachers, holding tournaments, and all those things that make school sport a reality or make school sport.
It doesn't sound like much, Ms. Mantashe. It doesn't sound like much. I mean, do you think you need more? I mean, surely you need more. There's so many schools and many young people. And I mean, when I was growing up in the township in Soweto, we always had Wednesdays was a sports day. We took part in all kinds of activities. Of course, we didn't have all the fancy facilities like the white children had because of apartheid. But the point is we were active. We were made to be active.
Indeed, it is much when you consider the vastness of the province of the Eastern Cape, but the nature of it is rural in nature. And speaking about the Wednesdays, when the lockdown was announced, the MEC for Sport, MEC Dan Moyane, was on we're going to launch school sports broadcast. That was to try and activate and make sure that we go back to that where school sport was happening on Wednesdays and kids were able to play. And we wanted to make sure that partnering with SuperSport, we broadcast leagues, school leagues in our rural areas. Whether you're talking in Bizana or Kobo, are able to broadcast those school matches so that those who are selecting and searching for talent, they are able to see talent, even if they're sitting there in Joburg, if they're sitting in other countries, they are able to see talent that is from the Eastern Cape.
Yeah.
But we continue also. Speaking of the fancy facilities, the department does not have a mandate of building sporting facilities. It lies with municipalities and the national government. But the MEC has been very active in terms of calling for investors to say, let us work together and build more facilities. We've got about 3, if not 4, multi-purpose sports fields that we have built, and we are still in negotiations with our partners to say, let's build more and make sure that when school sport resume and when we are over COVID and all this is behind us, we are ready to hit the ball rolling and make sure that our kids do have access to facilities, they are able to prosper, and they are able to show their talent and not be hindered by their backgrounds or where they come from.
Okay, well, it looks like you do have a plan and you are hoping for the best, but you're going to need more money.
Indeed, that is why the MEC, even yesterday, she was in a meeting to say with businessmen to say, let us come to the table. What can you offer? Let's look at priority areas. Let's also look at these sporting codes, your tennis, that are not seen as sporting codes that are mostly in our rural areas. But our kids need exposure to that. We need to have programs that speak to them so that we can be able to achieve the social cohesion that we speak to and level the playing fields when it comes to sporting activities. So though we don't have much as government, but the MEC is out and about trying to lobby investors to say, let's all work together and raise funds for our rural communities. We can't be folding hands. Yes, there are budget cuts because there are other priority areas. We're dealing with COVID-19. Tomorrow it might be something else. But we do have the private sector. We do have businesses. We do have people who are interested in sport and seeing development of sport in the Eastern Cape. And we're calling on more of those people to come on board, to come work with the department and try and make sure that the sporting activities resume and that our kids, especially the disadvantaged Black kids, are able to play sport. And as we speak then, there's a 3-day meeting between the national government and the provinces to try and see how do we move forward. We've had lockdowns, we've had sport being halted. How do we continue to support sport? How do we move forward? How do we allocate budgets? That is being discussed as we speak with the Department of Education, sport department, and the national department.
Yeah, hopefully they will come up with actionable programs and plans under the conditions. It's going to take some time before some kind of normal school sports can resume. But I'm pleased to hear that this was a once-off, that the kids in the Eastern Cape schools are not being disadvantaged, that they will be participating in sports as soon as it's possible. Thank you very much, Busisie Jemsana-Mantashe, speaking on behalf of the Eastern Cape Provincial Sports, Arts and Culture Department. Now let's